Good morning. How's everybody going this morning? All right. That was wild. Let's see if we can get that to start again. All right. Take two. Good morning. All right. Uh, Sometimes I have no idea what I'm doing. That's okay. I'll get it. We'll get there. All right. So we're getting right back into rifle talents. All right. That's what we were working on yesterday evening when we got off. We're going to go ahead and push forward on that and see where we can make it. I'm going to go ahead and insert the Armor Buster actual in book talent. All right, the actual written version. It's cross use, so I'm gonna grab something that has cross use in it. All right, so if you're just joining us and haven't really stopped in before, what we're talking about is GunCraze. GunCraze is a highly tactical role-playing game. All right, it's kind of, I call it postmodern. It's not the right word, but 2050 to beyond. All right, it has many different types of weapons, many different types of abilities, many different types of attacks, and it uses opposed rolling. It uses hit locations. There's a lot of things going for GunCraze that you may have not have seen before. So let me get you there. All right. Pardon me. I'm still getting back over this crazy flu that has got this lingering cough. That's just I may have moments, and I apologize ahead of time for that. Um, we will, I will eventually it'll go away. It just takes a long time. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put Armor Buster rifle talent in. The concept of Armor Buster's talent, all right, was rifles 3 requirement. All right, rank 3 rifles, and the cost was going to be 2 talent points or 4. Hey, it's already there. Cross use, combo talents. I'm going to leave those in red for now. Those are talents that you could use this talent with, so combination. And the concept behind that is you can stack several talents onto one often, so that you can do one amazing attack. It may cost you extra rounds. It may cost you some of your hit bonus, but the abilities will all tie together, and once you get used to that attack mode, you'll be able to replicate it over and over again or switch it out as you need to, giving you just a ton of variability in the game. All right. So talents are like special feats or abilities that your character can do that others can't do. All right. And the idea is to have so many of them that characters don't always pick the same ones. Now, there may be good ones and there may be less good ones. The better that I think they are when I create them, I assign them more points to make them more of a penalty to take the good ones. Not really a penalty. I just make the other ones cheaper to make them more favorable. Let's just say that. Okay. Um, that being said, uh, we are now again Armor Busters. What we're working on, and the concept is when you're using a rifle and firing armor-piercing rounds, you're going to actually do better than other characters. But if you spend the cross use, when you get rifles rank 3, no matter what weapon you're using, and spend the cross use cost of 4 talent points, or if you've already bought the 2, you just have to spend 2. It can work for all your weapons that shoot armor-piercing rounds. So, all your ranged weapons. So, all right. So we're gonna go to the details. What I do is take the summary and I paste it over the details, and then I start with that. That way, I make sure at least I capture that portion. All right. Whenever you fire armor-piercing rounds with a rifle, added 1 advantage dice. You may add 1 advantage dice. You probably would. I mean, why would you not? But that being said, that's essentially it. Because it's cross use, it gets a bold rifle, because you cross use switches the word rifle with ranged weapon. Okay. So that's basically it. That's Armor Buster. We've basically moved it up there now. We can go ahead and turn this black. All right. We're going to go ahead and go down to delete this line. All right. So now we're going to work on kneeling stance. All right. Enter the kneeling stance of the rifle to gain a +1 bonus to your attack rolls. Okay. The kneeling stance is a lower profile stance. If you've been in the military, it's also the knee buster. I joked last time when we created this that it would there should be a penalty when you stand up. You should have to make a toughness test based upon how many rounds you were in the kneeling. Because if you ever fired from the kneeling and you're not a spring chicken, that it does actually, even if you are a young person firing from the kneeling position on like the rifle range, it could be quite substantial to your knee. I mean, you really feel that. So, as a primary marksmanship instructor for the Marine Corps, one of the kind of things we would help is, make sure people stood up, shook their leg out, and then got back down in it without, causing any penalties by swinging the weapon in the wrong direction. So you got to be very careful when you stand up. Let your leg stretch out, get back down in that position, and take those well-aimed shots. All right, so we're going to go ahead and empty that, or enter that. I'm thinking this one here, we didn't use. We didn't use cross use for this, and I think that's because it's a rifle, and I think it's better just to leave some things where rifles only and they're not cross use. I think that's kind of an important concept. All right. So, kneeling stance. So we're going to grab one that doesn't have... Grab a talent that doesn't have any cross use. Keeps the format easy. Go to where K would sit before L here. All right. Well, it's going to be up on the top of this page anyway. Paste this in. All right. Battlefield 0. We made that last time. Okay. All right. Kneeling stance. It's rifles rank 1. It's low cost. I made it 2 talent points. I think I'm going to dumb that down to 1. Because it is a simple one. And I think it's fun. All right. We're gonna leave I leave these red. I come back. I'll backfill these definitions or kind of introductory paragraphs. I'm more concerned about getting to the actual core of the rule. All right. All right. So kneeling stance. All right. Again, I'll copy the text down here. Just to get it started. All right. At any time before or after, at any time actually. I'm more concerned right now about what kind of time that you could do the kneeling stance, right? So, I mean, technically you can do it mid-movement, stop, and then get up and run again because it allows you to pop in and out, all right? At any time during your character turn, you may you may choose to enter the kneeling stance with the rifle. When you do, you gain a +1 bonus to your attack rolls. This this talent costs 1 movement to enter and is free to leave. Okay, I don't. That terminology might not be absolutely great, but the concept is the kneeling position is there so you can get down real quick, take your shot, and then get up and leave. A rapid entry and exiting. So right now, prone costs 1 to get into, or prone is free. Getting up is 1 square. So I could just leave this free altogether. But I actually want to leave it one movement because it has to have some penalty, right? It has to have something that makes it a little hindering. Okay, so the concept is let's go ahead and take that out. Take out 1 movement point. No matter what you're doing, you lose a movement point. All right, and it's to your ranged attack rolls. Okay, so let's see. We can move this part here. Kneeling stance. Where do we choose to enter? Kneeling. No, I'll leave that with the rifle. When you do, you gain a +1 bonus to your ranged attack rolls with that rifle. With a rifle. This talent costs 1 movement. Going to enter. Terminology, okay? Terminology. That's why I also, you know, when we're building a rule book right now, and a single person, not a team, all right? I mean, I do have a lot of helpers and friends and community. But that being said, it's 241 pages right now. I mean, just a couple days ago we were at 238. All right, rules add pages, pictures add pages. All right, and it's going to probably be at about 300 pages when it goes to print. And well, it's going to go on Amazon, and you would select the hardcover, the soft cover, and it'd show up at your house however you like it. That being said, let's move on to. We're going to go to movement. All right, because that's important. Movement. GunCraze is, so we're going to talk about movement, make sure that the rule makes sense. That's really what it comes down to. Make sure the wording's right. And it helps go around to kind of circle around to always checking your work to make sure that you're not deviating from terminology, because that, when you're writing these rule books, absolutely you got to come up with like a streamlined terminology. All right. And I catch myself all the time using different types of terminology than I should. Okay, let's see here. All right. So movement. GunCraze is built around action and speed. Offensively, 2 seconds might seem to prohibit much of what a character can do, but for action-based tactical combat, it allows a mixture of an attack and defense. All right. A little note in here, designer note for 6-second combat systems, I don't know which one I'm referring to, an opponent can usually move 30 feet or 60 feet or more in some cases to engage another character. That means when characters want to be tactically stationed around a corner, they'll need to have at least 70 feet of corridor. 70 feet of corridor between them and the corner. And at that time, they would only be able to squeeze off 1 or maybe 2 shots with a ranged weapon before they engaged in melee. In GunCraze, the same characters can be half the distance and will be able to squeeze off numerous shots as the enemy closes with you. So it allows more attack and defense to have a shorter combat round. Each character turn, the character the player controls may move. GunCraze is built around action and speed. Offensively, let's see, I got that's a repeat right there. And that happens too. So what I'll do is I'll delete this part. Each character turn, move. Alright, movement. Characters may pause to attack at any time during their movement. Players should keep track of the number of squares their characters move before an attack, so the character may move the remaining squares after the attack is complete. Characters can stop any number of times based on the number of attacks in their selected profile. Characters that become adjacent to enemy characters must immediately pause as they are locked in melee. They may continue to move, but will provoke an out-of-turn attack. Okay. Leaving melee. At any time a character is locked in melee and attempts to move out of melee at a speed faster than their slow move, they provoke an out-of-turn attack. This includes when a character chooses to dive for cover. All right. Declaring a move. When a player decides to move a character, announce the type of move. They announce the type of move, slow, normal, run, or sprint, or declare a charge. If the character has already made an attack on their turn, they may make a slow or normal move. It is important to do this before the character moves. All right. The types of moves, along with any positive and negative effects, are listed below. All right. Move their character. Let's see. So it's not really points; it's squares. Okay. So that's the terminology I was kind of looking for. I want to make sure I'm straight. Here's an example of movement. All right. Your first diagonal is 1 square. Obviously, this is just a vertical. So another square. Then he goes the second diagonal for 2 more. Third diagonal for 1 more, and then 1 horizontal one for 1. So that's his movement of 6. All right. Then they have different ones. Slow move. Slow movement is never decreased by difficult terrain, and characters moving through difficult terrain with their slow movement do not have to make stunt tests. All right, because anytime you try to go faster than your slow movement through terrain, you're going to incur a stunt test. All right. Sneaking. Any character moving at a slow speed can reroll a stealth skill test, but must accept the second result even if it is worse. Normal move. A normal move is average normal walking, usually simply called walking. There is no positive or negative effects when executing a normal move. All right. Let's see here. Slow move is also your low crawl. Run move. Running incurs a -1 penalty on range attack rolls, adds a +1 on defense rolls. All right. Let's see. All defense rolls. All +1 bonus next turn. Okay. So some other examples of play. So this is kind of fun. These were fun to make. Just to throw this out there. These are using Papsicle's miniatures, photographed from above, and then highly edited to make them look, like they belong. And how that's actually done is I have separate PowerPoints that I use that I can move these icons and whatnot around, and I also have it on my tablet where I can move each one of these and take photos, save them as, and make all these pictures of examples of and whatnot. Some talents may actually need those, and I'll make those as I go to add a little bit of kind of color to the book, if you will. I'm not trying to have too much like gray laden, just to ease up if you do get the digital copy, to ease up on your printer. Again, low cost entry. I want you to have a good time. I try to keep the font legible, and I try to keep the pages formatted so that you can find things easier. So let's go. And obviously, if you can see over here, there is a table of contents on the left side of the screen, a navigation thing, and there's a table of contents at the top. So even your digital version should have links that help you get places in your book. All right. So let's go here. So standing up prone. Standing up from the prone takes 1 square of the character's movement. We talked about that a minute ago, okay? All right, so just looking at some rules before we go back and dig into this kneeling stance. When you do, you get a +1 bonus to your range attack rolls. The rifle, this would cause 1 square of movement. No, it costs. I'm going to take out. This costs no squares. Why not? While in the kneeling stance, characters gain a +1 talent bonus on defense rolls. All right. And that's kind of a build off of the prone, which gives you a +2. So kneeling stance is actually pretty solid. I think that's I think I'll throw additionally. All right, additionally, because it's a little different, and I could leave it here. I could leave it there, and I'm okay with leaving it there. All right. Okay, so that's the kneeling stance. All right, I'm pretty pleased with it for now. All right, so I'll be right back. I gotta take care of something. I'm gonna have a coughing fit is what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna just let you watch this video and I'll be back in just a minute.
GunCraze rolling starting specialization scores. We begin by rolling 5 6-sided dice, adding up the total. If the total is less than 16, you may re-roll. You may re-roll until you get 16 or higher. This roll is a 16 and it passes. If you roll higher than 20, a dice that rolled higher than a 3 must be changed to a 1. Now the total is 18. This allows for characters of power level 16 through 25. Alternatively, your character may choose this standard score array for their starting specialization scores, which builds a power level 18 character. Learn more about GunCraze at guncraze.net.
Hello, today we're going to be talking about GunCraze character creation, specifically focusing on specializations. There are 5 specializations in GunCraze: ranged combat, melee combat, body, quickness, and non-combat. Ranged combat consists of attacking with firearms, throwing weapons, grenades, or any other type of attack which is made from a distance. In the GunCraze universe, anybody may be armed with a deadly firearm. As the saying goes, whoever has the skill makes the kill. Ranged combat is broken down to 6 attributes: handguns, submachine guns, rifles, shotguns, sniper rifles, and support weapons. Support weapons include light machine guns, missile launchers, and flamethrowers. Melee combat is using your hands, feet, head, or melee weapon to strike your target. Sometimes it may not be useful to fire a gun, or you may be denied the chance to use one altogether. When this happens, your melee skills will be tested. Melee combat is broken down into 4 attributes: unarmed, slashing, stabbing, and crushing. Next, we have the body specialization. Strength, toughness, and endurance are all attributed to a well-developed body. Strong characters can lift more and do more damage than average characters. Tough characters can take damage and stay in the fight. Characters with a lot of endurance can keep going, even when challenged with grueling conditions. Body represents a character's physical stature and is broken into 3 attributes: strength, endurance, and toughness. Quickness is moving or functioning rapidly, and this helps when trying not to get hit by an attack. Quick characters are often not slowed down by difficult terrain and can be fast enough to attack more than once in a turn. Quick characters also have quick reaction times, and they can often act before other characters that aren't so fast. Jackie Chan would definitely be a character with high quickness. Quickness represents a character's reflexes and agility and is broken down into 3 attributes: reaction, speed, and stunt. As all other specializations deal with combat, non-combat attributes are provided to handle the role-playing aspect of GunCraze. They are intelligence, wisdom, and presence. Characters that have high non-combat specialization scores are characters that provide an extra edge to any campaign. They are smarter, wiser, or more charismatic than other characters. These characters provide for interesting role-playing between all the action.
Additionally, certain non-combat specialization scores unlock access to certain jobs. Jobs benefit skills, and will be explained in a later video. In GunCraze, we generate our specialization scores by rolling 5d6s and adding up the total of the dice. If the total is less than 16, we can start over by re-rolling the dice again. If the total is greater than 20, we have to change one of the dice that rolled higher than a 3 to a 1. We record these scores on a scratch piece of paper or on the side of our character sheet. The total of all these rolls is our character's power level. A starting character will therefore be at least power level 16. When the Gunmaster determines a power level increase, you would get to raise one of your specialization scores by 1, which causes several things to happen, which will be explained in a later video. So now we are going to place one of those generated specialization scores into each one of our specializations, and move on to choosing perks and assigning attribute scores within each specialization. But those will be explained in a future video.
GunCraze. All right, welcome back. I just wanted to really show you that video, kind of explain a little bit about your specializations and how scores are placed and what you can kind of divide them up into, your attributes. All right. So, and I did have my little coughing fit. We got through it. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and work on the revised version of Longshot. Longshot is already in here, but it's incorrect now. I did end up knocking it down to rank 2 requirement. The cost is, Longshot is actually going to be 3 talent points. It's an expensive talent. All right, I'm going to go ahead and again make these combo talents red because that's what I need to do. All right, character with the long shot talent doubles the range increment. That's the old rule. The new rule is, all right, ignore the first range royalty. Well, so the real goal is ignore the range penalty. All right, ignore the no, it is range penalty. Range penalty to second. Come on, what's the word I'm looking for here? You have your different. Oh my gosh. All right, let's go look because we just did this the other day and my term is just falling out of my head. All right, so we had a section we added with the group called range. All right, ranges and accuracy. Okay, so here's your increment. That's the word I was looking for, range increment. All right, so you may ignore, that's really what the answer is. You'll ignore up to a -2 penalty on your ranged attacks. So there we go. All right, so up to, so the guy with the rifle, he has a long range weapon. So from 0 to 100 squares, which is a long way, he doesn't have a penalty. From 101 to 200, he'll suffer -2, and so on and so forth, up to 500 squares. Like, wow, what table has 500 squares? Well, it's just a concept, really. Sometimes they may say, how far is it off? And you'd be like, well, he's this amount of distance. He's 2,500 feet away. Oh, wow, okay, I'll take a shot. You're going to be at -8. So what is 2,500 feet? All right, that is roughly 800 yards. That's a difficult shot. I mean, 500-yard line, I can hit 500-yard line targets 10 out of 10 times in the center mass of the target. 800 would be a trying shot, so there is, that is a significant penalty. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and add that in there. So what it's going to do is it's just going to add a minus. It's going to ignore up to 2 penalty. All right, so up to A minus 2. Ignore the ignore 2 points of range penalty, ignore 2 range penalty, ignore 2 English, right? So what am I doing? Ignoring the first 2. Ignore the first 2 ignore the first 2 of all range penalties with armed with a rifle. Okay, that it's not going to be a great description there. Again, this is the hasty description. I'm going to come back up here. I'm going to try to make it fill out. So what are they talking about? That's what you do. You know, summary is just a summary. All right. When armed with a rifle, you may ignore you may ignore the first 2 of any range penalty you would suffer for firing outside of the first range. Alright, this is not cross use anymore. I'm going to delete this. Alright. When armed with a rifle, you may ignore the first 2 of any range penalty you would suffer for firing outside of the first range increment. I could use cross use. I could. No, I'm not. Alright, so let's see here. Okay, this is kind of old and not going to work. All right. When armed with a rifle, you may ignore the first 2 of any range penalty you would suffer for firing outside of the first range area. Let's see. And I can put an example here still. Example. Firing at the 3rd range increment. The penalty would be reduced from -4 to -2. Reduce any penalties by 2. That's the English of it. Good. See, that's what happens when you talk through it. It takes a while. You may reduce any range penalty you would by 2. Reduce the reduce range penalties. Reduce range penalties armed with a rifle by 2. Yeah, that's basically it. Quiet that thing up. All right. And now, because it's an example, I have example formatting set up, so I just should drop that in. And the reason why I went for the third one is so that to get any questions out, like, oh, that's only the first range increment. Oh, that's only, it tells you right there by going with that third one, it answers all the other ones. All right. I do want to have that space back in, and that'll actually be normal in that row. Okay, so that is fixed. And 3 talent points. I mean, that's actually a really strong one to gain that extra range. People are going to buy it. Okay, penetrating strike. All right. Oh my gosh. All right, so penetrating strike and armor buster. All right, I had a better idea for armor buster. I'm gonna go back and kind of fix that right now. All right. When firing armor piercing rounds with the rifle, adds 6 damage rather than 1d6. That is what I really wanted to do with armor buster, and I think that's going to actually be much more fun. It kind of works with. All right. Choose to. Okay. Whenever you fire armor-piercing rounds with the rifle, you can choose to add 6 damage rather than adding 1d6 damage. If the round would strike other than armor points. All right. Okay, that's better. I am so happy about that. Okay, so what just happened? I had it with adding an advantage dice, all right, and I had a rule for armor piercing that I was changing. That I was just going to add a solid 6, right? It's armor piercing. It's going to add a solid 6 to help penetrate that armor, all right. And then I changed it back to what it originally was, so it matched GunCraze miniature battles. Now that I have armor buster, it just does a solid 6 if it hits armor. However, you don't lose the highest dice anymore. You lose most of your damage if you don't hit armor, okay? So the concept is this thing is an armor buster. It's literally trying to bust armor. And so if it hits skin, it's just going to fly right through your body and leave a very small hole because the round didn't expand. It's made out of that hard tungsten, all right, or another hard metal. Armor Buster is probably my favorite talent right now. I like it. All right. I know that. Let's see here. Penetrating strike. So the concept of penetrating strike is shooting through one guy and hitting another guy. And I think that's fantastic. All right. And I might even make this one cross use because it would be a lot of fun to do that with anything, but we'll have to see. All right. So this is a rifle 6 talent. Okay, penetrating strike. All right, so the goal is, and I think I'm actually going to make this one cross use because it'd be fun. But I'm going to make him pay for it. All right, because I'm a mean person. No, I'm not a mean person. I don't think I am at least. Dang. All right. Fire at 2 or more targets with 1 attack. Fire a rifle at 2 or more targets with 1 attack. All right. So cross use again is replace rifle with ranged weapon. All right, buddy. Control C. All right. So penetrating strike. Let's talk about this penetrating strike. This is going to be great. I have ideas. I'm going to grab a talent that has a cross use because that helps me get the formatting down. Paste this in here. All right. All right. So again, we're going to leave that red. Let's put it. Oh yeah, you feel that? All right. It's all creation, you know. You get it, and start getting your brain going. All right. So penetrating strike is going to be rifle 6, which is a very strong. That's a very high requirement. It'll take you a while to get to rank 6, unless you like. I mean, every power level you could throw it right in there, but you're also not putting it in other things that could be useful, like toughness or your speed. So this is going to be a 4 or 8 talent points cross use. Okay. So the goal here. The goal here is to shoot at targets in a line. All right. All right. So you may choose to pardon me. That just came out of nowhere. You may choose a penetrating strike instead of a normal attack when you're armed with the rifle. Okay. Let's see here. All right. When you do, draw a line from your character to through any number of through any number of target characters. All right. So you may choose a penetrating strike instead of a normal attack when armed with a rifle. When you do, draw a line from your character through any number of target characters. All right. When you roll damage, if the damage exceeds the armor points of the closest target character. When you roll damage, if the damage exceeds the armor points of the closest target character, reduce the damage. Let's see. Apply the damage, the remaining damage, against the first target character, and location and the second character. The second target character in line. Okay. When you do, let's see. Draw a line from your character through any number of target characters. When you roll damage, if the damage exceeds the armor points of the closest target character, apply the remaining damage against the first target character. Hit location. And roll hit location for the second target character in line. Apply the same apply to the let's see, to the second target character. Yeah, let's see. When you roll damage, if the damage exceeds the damage exceeds the armor points the third okay, that is a little beefy. I do have some space to back that up. Alright, cool. Alright. You may choose to penetrating strike instead of a normal attack when armed with a rifle. If you do, draw a line from your character through any number of target characters. Draw a straight line. Straight, important word. Real damage. If the damage exceeds the armor points of the closest target character, apply the remaining damage against the first target character's hit location and roll the hit location for the second target character in line. Apply the same damage that was applied to the first target character to the second target character. If damage exceeds the armor points of the second character, continue to third character, if any, and so on. That is a little bit hard to read. I'll play around with the wordology there. I will have to come back and look at this, and this might end up becoming a long thing. All right, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and set up a video real quick for you guys to check out, and I'll be back in just a minute. Hello, this is Tim Patterson, and we're here today to talk about GunCraze. So what is GunCraze? GunCraze is an action tabletop role-playing system that brings players into intense action combat,
pushing the boundaries of realism. And what do I mean by pushing the boundaries of realism? Well, anybody that enjoys a good 80s, 90s action movie understands when realism gets pushed a little bit. You know, that character throws a knife through the enemy and pins him through a wall. Could it happen? Maybe. And that's the type of realism we're talking about pushing. GunCraze is a system that uses D10s. Successes in GunCraze are determined by the roll of a 10-sided dice, and they're compared normally to a target number or to an opposed roll, usually from an opponent. GunCraze uses a 2-second round, where characters can either perform a movement and an action, or perform a combination action. GunCraze uses a classless system that offers a large amount of variation of character development. There are literally millions of character customization combinations. Characters are customized by specializations, attributes, perks, talents, skills, and then their weapons and equipment. And we're going to get into all these in different videos. In future videos, we're going to discuss that character creation. We're going to talk about talents. We're going to talk about skills. We're going to talk about the different types of weapons. We're going to talk about craze points. GunCraze is currently in an alpha testing, meaning it's still in development.
All right, jumping back in here. Again, penetrating strike might become a longer talent. It might eat up more of a page. Might eat up its whole line. I'm going to try not to let it do that, and it may end up not being something I end up with in the end, or I might modify it heavily. We'll move on from there. All right. Let's see. And there's more questions that needs to be looked at about this. All right. Actually, we're going to just go ahead and red text that for now. All right. So that being said, I'm actually going to shut down the stream early today. The cough is kind of bothering me. And yeah, I didn't sleep well last night because of it. I'm really glad that you guys spent time with us today. I hope you drop a follow if you haven't followed yet. Definitely check out the various websites, guncraze.net. And when I'm feeling a whole lot better, we'll definitely make sure that this thing runs its entire course. All right. But I'm really glad to have you guys listening in. If you see this video on YouTube, make some comments, add a question, and that'd be great. I'd look forward to answering whatever you want. All right. So that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and shut it down. I hope everybody takes care and has a great weekend. And I'll see you all soon.